Prime Minister has asked the Socialist members of Parliament to respect the opponents and the agreement reached with the opposition on May 18. Only a week after the start of the operation against informality, 100 businesses were closed for failing to register activity and issue tax receipts. The Vice Chairman of the Socialist Movement for Integration denounced the non-functioning of radars at Albanian borders, considering it to be a scandal. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Monday the 9th of October 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. The electoral reform will be discussed in Thursday's plenary session. During a meeting that the Prime Minister held with the Socialist Party's parliamentary group, Mr Rama asked for the Socialist MPs to be prepared to hold constructive debates and avoid clashes with the opposition. It has been learned that the Prime Minister has asked the Socialist members of Parliament to respect the opponents and also the agreement to the opposition and the majority reached on May 18, which included the realisation of electoral reform. The agreement of May 18 should be respected. You should hold constructive debates and avoid clashes in Parliament, the Prime Minister told the Socialist members of Parliament. In the previous plenary session, which was held last Thursday, the Democratic Party blocked the podium after their request to hold a debate on the electoral reform was rejected. The Democratic Party's request was rejected by the Assembly Speaker, Gramos Rucci, who postponed the plenary session until this Thursday. The Democratic Party is asking that the Ad Hoc Commission on Electoral Reform be composed of 18 members, with 9 coming from the opposition. The Democratic Party is also asking for the Ad Hoc Commission to have 2 chairmen, Bledi Chuchi from the majority and Oerd Bulukbashi from the Democratic Party. The reform on administration was also discussed at the meeting of the Socialist Party's parliamentary group. The Prime Minister asked for proposals from the Socialist members of Parliament and also asked that the directors be elected based on merit through a fair competition. The Democratic Party chairman, Lulzim Basha, gathered the Democratic Party's parliamentary group today. After the meeting, the DP chairman announced that the strategy his party will follow during this Thursday's plenary session. The DP chairman declared the majority will present a strong opposition as, according to him, free and fair elections are important for the Albanian people. It has been learned that the DP chairman has asked the Democrat MPs to ensure the format for questions during the plenary session are based on Parliament regulations. According to Mr Basha, this practice will ensure the Prime Minister and the ministers bear their responsibility. The opposition predicts the holding of another session every Wednesday, which will be a 60-minute session in addition to the regular weekly plenary sessions on Thursdays. Every Wednesday we will ask the questions of the government. The plenary session should be 60 minutes based on regulation. The opposition will ask for the 60-minute sessions to be held with the Prime Minister and ministers, the DP chairman declared. Sources that attended the meeting say that Mr Basha has declared that the Democratic Party cannot reach consensus with this government. There cannot be consensus with this government, this majority, or with Edi Rama, who has mental problems. He should be rejected. The opposition is completely against this government, declared the DP chairman at the meeting of the Democratic Party's parliamentary group. The Vice Chairman of the Socialist Movement for Integration, Luan Rama, expressed his concern today about the radars that monitor Albanian borders. After the meeting of the Socialist Movement for Integration's parliamentary group, the Vice Chairman of the SMI declared that the radars are turned off in order to favour drug trafficking. The SMI's parliamentary group supported my proposal to hold hearing sessions at the Parliamentary Commission of Security and Defence in connection to a problem that is really delicate. The system that monitors the marine space is not functioning. There are some testimonies that the system has not been operating since 2014-2015, and in this way, Albania has violated NATO standards. The problem becomes serious when not only the 7 radars that our Marine Force have do not operate, but also the 11 radars the state police have at their disposal have not been working to monitor the marine space. This is a scandalous problem, and the institutions that have failed to do their duty should be held responsible. In the function of transparency, I will ask from the Parliamentary Commission of Security to appoint an agenda of meetings and hearing sessions with all senior state officials and directors of institutions who have the responsibility to guarantee the national security, declared Luan Rama. He went on to praise the initiative by the Minister of Interior and Minister of Defence in setting up a joint working group in order to identify the problems with the monitoring of marine spaces. The Vice Chairman of the Socialist Movement for Integration thinks that an investigation into this cause should have been launched by the prosecution. Commenting on the electoral reform, the SMI's vice chairman said that it should be deep and should attend to all the problems faced during the June 25 parliamentary elections. Only a week after the beginning of the government's operation against informality, 100 businesses have been penalised throughout the country for failure to register their activity or failure to issue a voucher. The Vice Director of the Tax Directorate declares that these businesses are mainly located in suburban areas and that the possibility of any abuse of power by tax inspectors is being investigated. The Vice Director of the Tax Directorate says that the investigation of tax inspectors who do not follow the law is also part of the operation. According to preliminary data, there has been a significant increase in revenue from collected vouchers, accumulating an additional 3.7 billion lek to the state budget. During the checks in the field, 600 businesses have had their taxation description updated from small business to big business, resulting in a change to their tax responsibilities. The government's current operation against informality is focused towards advising business owners to ensure they are meeting their obligations. Currently, 3,023 businesses have been checked and 650 of them have been found with violations. The operation against informality started on October 1st and is focused on the issuance of tax receipts, fiscal registries, inventories and security at work. This operation against informality will be more intense and will be focused on big enterprises, but of course without leaving small businesses out of attention. Prime Minister Edi Rama held a meeting with the current directors at the National Food Authority, at which he warned of dismissals over cases of corruption. The Prime Minister said that political appointments will not be allowed and asked those directors who have been appointed in this way to resign. According to the Prime Minister, the National Food Authority imposes unfair fines and terrorises traders. During the presentation of the new director, the Prime Minister declared that corrupt practices must come to an end. Mr. Rama added that these practices are unacceptable and have turned the National Food Authority into a countrywide problem. The National Food Authority is an institution that imposes fines and makes the lives of entrepreneurs difficult. It terrorises the small traders and at the end, it does not accomplish its mission at all. The National Food Authority will never go to customs. This is completely unnecessary. This story will end, declared the Prime Minister. Mr. Rama also announced the priorities of this institution in the first 100 days of his governance. Both shutting down those butchers who exert their activity in the streets and stopping abusive fines are among the top priorities. The new director of the institution pledged to establish EU standards for the National Food Authority. Tirana's Mayor, Erion Valiai, today inspected work for the reconstruction of a new park at 5 May Street in Tirana. An 11,000 square metre area, which used to serve as a place for urban waste collection, is now being transformed into a new park for citizens. A new school is also expected to be constructed and green areas will be added. Apart from new green areas and the establishment of a range of useful spaces, a part of the territory will be liberated from waste and used for a new school. According to the Mayor, the school will be modern with sports spaces, meeting the needs of the community that lives in Administrative Unit Number 8 in Tirana. Mayor Valiai declared that the operation for the planting of trees will continue until March in order to later continue with the massive operation for the orbital forest. The Mayor declared that the operation to plant new trees in the capital will also be extended to suburban areas. The Mayor asked that business owners and citizens give their contribution to the city by adding more green areas to the capital. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.
Qëndroni me Ora News.